Hi everyone, this is Lisa with Quarantine Cooking. Today we're going to make apple fritters. The first thing that you're going to want to do is to get your skillet and to turn it on. The directions say to turn to 400, so you're going to want to turn that to 400 degrees, and you'll want to put oil in the bottom of your pan. Now I'm using the electric frying pan because I'm here at Fayette County Library today. But if you're at home and you just have a skillet, you may use it. It would work just as well. All you need to do is have enough oil to fill the bottom, and since I have a very large skillet frying pan here, I need quite a bit of oil. The other directions, the other ingredients that you're going to need today are some apples. I took 2 apples and I cut them up into little diced pieces. You need at least 1.5 cups of apples to make your apple fritters. Now this batch makes 24 little apple fritters, so that you'll have plenty to share with your whole family. You also need 1 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, some salt, some baking powder, some milk, 1 egg, some cinnamon and sugar, and I've got it already mixed up here for me. That's what you need to make the apple fritter. Now to make a glaze on top of the apple fritter, you need some powdered sugar and some vanilla and some milk. So my pan's getting heated up, so we'll go ahead and start making the batter today. Now remember, if you want to make any comments, do so at the bottom of our feed. And again, if you have any ideas of other things you might want me to make, please let us know. So the first thing we need to do is take our cup of flour, put it in your bowl or whatever container you have that you're going to stir it up with. Take your 1/4 cup of sugar, pour it in with the flour. Then you also need 1/4 tablespoon of salt. So I'm just using, not tablespoon, but teaspoon. I'm just using a regular teaspoon here, and I'm just going to pour a little salt in there. Eyeballing it is okay. Then you also need 1.5 teaspoons of our baking powder. So I will get one nice and even and do another little bit. So those are the dry ingredients for your apple fritters, and you're going to probably want to just stir that up just a little bit. Once you get all that nice and stirred up, you're ready for your liquid. So we're going to start with 1/3 cup of milk. So this one is my 1/3 cup. I'm going to measure that out just evenly. I'm going to pour that in. And we're going to stir up our batter. And we're going to need to put our egg in there. So we'll put our egg in with the batter and stir it up. Now mine is a little dry today. That's not the way you're going to want it. So I'm going to probably put just a little bit more milk in there and stir that up a little better, because you want it doughy, not really dry. Mix that egg in there. Okay, and you can see that there's still some flour across the bottom, but the consistency is pretty good. I'm actually going to add just another little splash of milk in there before I add my apples. Alright, so there's our dough. It looks like my grease is getting warm, so that is good. I'm going to take my apples and pour them into my batter. I have a little bit more. I had about 2 cups of apples, so I don't need to use all of them. So we're going to stir those apples into the dough. Now the recipe calls for cinnamon and sugar to go in here with the apples. So I'm going to take my cinnamon and sugar combined, and I'm going to just pour it in there. Now if you really like cinnamon, you're going to want a lot. I like cinnamon, so then you're just going to stir that all up. And we're about ready to fry these up. I love it when you can smell the cinnamon. So yummy. So the recipe actually suggested to use like an ice cream scoop, but I'm just going to make little baby apple fritter bites today. So I'm just going to use my little tiny spoon here, and we're going to spoon up a spoonful of dough and apple, and we're going to just put it into the frying pan. And there you can see it start to bubble next to the fritter, so you know it's hot. And when I made these at home the other day, it made 24. So you get 24 with this recipe. Of course, you could always make them bigger, more donut size if you like. But these are just little apple fritter bites. Put those in there. I'm not too particular about what shape they are. Just going to lay them in the grease. Sort of smells like fair food as you start cooking it. Alright, there's my first 8, and I'm going to just let that sit there a minute. Now, while that is cooking, and it takes about a minute before you want to flip it over, I'm going to go ahead and make the glaze that we're going to need for our apple fritters. So we're going to need to have some milk, and it said just a splash of vanilla. So I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla into my powdered sugar, and then I'm going to add some milk and stir it around. Now remember, with powdered sugar you don't want to get too much liquid because then you have to add more powdered sugar. So you want it to just perfect so that you can glaze the apple fritters as they come out. Now I can start to hear them popping over there in the pan, so it's probably about ready to flip them over. I can always stir my glaze a little bit later. Alright, so I'm going to take my spatula. I'm going to start with the first one here that I made, and I'm just going to flip it over and see how nice and brown it's gotten. Okay. Hear it popping. Smells so good. Alright. There we go. Using nice fresh grease also makes nice fresh apple fritters, so we're going to let that sit there for another minute. Now it's very important that when you take these out that you let the grease dry off of the apple fritter. So I have here my cooling racks. I have 2 of them, and I'm going to go ahead and put some paper toweling down on those cooling racks so that it can soak up the grease. I'm not ingesting all that grease. Alright, let's see if I flip one of these over, if it's nice and crispy, if it's ready to go. Almost. Oh, it smells so good. That one's ready. That one's ready. Okay, so I'm going to let the grease drip off a little bit, and we're going to put it over here. Oh, look at that. Okay, so these are our homemade, from scratch, little apple fritter bites. And as soon as I get all of them out, I'm going to want to put some more batter into the frying pan. And then we're going to want to glaze our apple fritters before we eat them. Alright, let's go ahead and start putting some more into the frying pan. Here we go. Put our little dollops of batter and apple right into that pan. And I'll just do one more batch here for you guys, and you guys can hopefully make it at home. I never had made apple fritters before, honestly. I didn't realize how easy they were to make. So there's our next 8. And we're going to go over here now to the ones that I've already pulled out. I've got to finish making this glaze. Stirring it up. It's just simply powdered sugar, a little bit of vanilla and some milk. And it's just the perfect glaze for glazed donuts, glazed apple fritters. Alright, the perfect consistency. You want it not super runny. So then you're just going to take your small spoon, put a nice little layer of glaze on each apple fritter. And you're going to want to let it sort of harden there for just a few minutes before you serve them. In other words, the apple inside would be extremely hot. So, there we go. Don't those look yummy? You could also dunk them so that there's glaze on both sides if you wanted to. But today we're just going to glaze the top. Alright, let's take a look at what's in here now that the oil is really superheated. I think they're probably ready to flip right over. The smaller ones are definitely ready before the bigger ones. Oh, look at that. Yummy, yummy. There we go. A little brown. Look at that. Alright, let's wait another minute and we'll pull them out. Alright folks, I think that was about going to wrap it up here for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching how to make apple fritters. It's really quite easy and very, very yummy. So again, please comment in the comment sections. Let us know if you enjoyed this. And if you have ideas for next week, let me know. We will be here again at 2 o'clock on Friday with another Quarantine Cooking with Miss Lisa the Librarian. Thanks for watching.